Okay, so I'm Rob Teplitz. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:05. We have a quorum needed under the bylaws, and I'll turn things over to the rabbi for his report.
Great. I want to thank everybody for being here. I think it's really important for us to, get together as family and community for the annual meeting. So I want to thank everybody who's here. My report is short. I just want to talk about the 3 parts of life here at Temple Ohev Shalom. They are prayer, education, and community, and how we've been able to weather this terrible storm of the pandemic. So it's a new world. And in terms of prayer, what we've done over the past year is a lot of videos. I know that this Friday night is going to be our first live stream service that's going to be open to the membership. And we are hoping to have more of them. The board is taking a conservative stance on making sure that everybody is healthy and cared for if they're entering the building. So we really appreciate that. In terms of prayer and services, the B'nai Mitzvah this past year have been done in people's backyards. We've had to really take a look at how we can present things to the congregation as best we can. So we've been doing that. I'm getting all kinds of chats. It's hard for me to concentrate if you're sending me chats. Thanks. The next part is education, and education has been done on Zoom. You know that I'm not a fan of Zoom, but I don't think we have much of a choice. Jason Graff, our educator, is laughing. Hi, Jason. Yeah, it's not easy trying to teach a class on Zoom. And maybe in the fall, we'll need to do that again. We're gonna have to look at that. Floyd, can I call you back? Any kind you want, honey. I'm on a call. Love you, bye. That was Floyd, he's grocery shopping. All right, so education has been done on Zoom, and maybe in the fall, we'll have to do a hybrid kind of education in Zoom, not really sure. The most important part, I think, of this past year is really to understand community. And wherever we have been during the pandemic, the board has really made it easy for us to get together as community. And I think community is the most important part of what's been going on at Ohev Shalom, whether we're having a community in someone's backyard or a community watching the Tat Shabbat video. Community is really important. And as we look to the high holidays that are coming up really early this year, we're going to find the best way to have a sense of community. So in closing, I'm always available to you, as I say on our weekly videos. We are going to be having the adult ed classes like we do. We're not sure of the format. And most important, thanks for being supportive. We have not lost one single family due to the pandemic, which is really, really amazing. We've lost some members due to the pandemic for sure, but no one has resigned from the temple because they just don't want to take part. So we're grateful for that. All right, that's the end of my report. Thanks.
Thank you. I'll keep my president's report brief. You all know what we've lived through over the last year. At the beginning of the pandemic, we sent a letter out to the congregation outlining the steps that we were taking and the plan we were going to follow and the process by which we would be making decisions. That's what we've done. The bookend to that is almost exactly 1 year later to the day, we sent out another letter with our back to shul plan, which outlines the path back to normalcy. The board is continuing to monitor and make adjustments as needed, but we anticipate that the year ahead will look a lot more like our traditional years than the past year. There have been some things that we've learned over the last year and that we may want to continue doing and continue because they've been helpful. As a general matter, we probably had more direct engagement with our members over the past year. We've certainly made it more convenient for our members to participate in a lot of ways, whether it's services or religious school or some of our programming. And there's a lot to keep, as we still want to return to the way things used to be. I'll say that decisions for the high holidays and religious school will be made this summer, and we'll keep everyone abreast of those. But we're optimistic that those will look more like past years than the most recent past year. The only other thing I'll mention is as sort of a preview to where we're headed next. The board passed a budget for our fiscal year 2021-2022 that we distributed to the membership for your approval. It's a budget that anticipates reopening, but continues to make investments, particularly technology, that will allow us the flexibility that we need going forward. I also want to mention that I'll be asking for board approval of the budget, but also of our slate of officers and board of trustee members. I appreciate the hard work that all of the board has done over the last year. I'm sure that we worked harder than anyone expected and put in more time than normal, but it was necessary and it was much appreciated. We are largely continuing with stability in our board and our executive board, but there are a number of changes that I want to highlight. First is we will be saying goodbye to Michelle Berliner and Stacy Feldman, whose terms have ended. And we appreciate both of their long service to the board and the areas that they oversaw. We are gaining 3 new board members, Jill Cusick, Ari Nippon, and Rich Scrignoli. And we look forward to having all of those members of our board pending approval by the congregation. We're also making some changes on the executive board. We have our president-elect, Audrey Minor, who will be serving in that role for this next year. Our treasurer will be Denise Miskin, who had been a board member of ours, and you may know her as a past president of Sisterhood. And Dan Green's term as treasurer has ended, but he has agreed to stay on the board as an appointee, a presidential appointee. So with that, those are the 2 items of business that we need to conduct tonight. With that, first turning to the budget, first I'll ask if there is a motion and a second for the budget, and then we'll address any questions or concerns people might have. So you have the budget that was distributed. Can I have a motion to approve the 2021-22 operating budget?
So moved.
Andy Brown moves. Can I have a second?
I second.
Okay, Linda seconds. Is there any debate, any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, then I will call for a vote. All in favor, please signal either visibly or by voice by saying aye or raising your hand. Okay, I see lots of hands in various forms. Anyone opposed? I see no one opposed, so the budget passes. Thank you. I also would like to put before this group the nominations. Seth Mendelson, who is our past president currently, and was the chair of our nominations committee, couldn't be here tonight, or he would be presenting this. The list, I went through the list of the changes, but the full slate of executive board members and board of trustees as a whole, again, is in your packet. It was printed on the agenda. I will take a motion to approve those nominees.
So moved.
Bruce Feldman moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Erika seconds. Any questions, comments, debate? I see none. Then all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, then that motion passes as well. Great, thank you, and congratulations to our new officers and trustees. We look forward to working with you, and we appreciate your willingness to help. At this point, I want to call on some of our committee chairs for their reports. I thought it was particularly important this year that the membership have access to information you might not be aware of that has still been going on, and work that was still happening during what might have seemed like a quiet year, but there was a lot going on behind the scenes. And so first I'm going to call on Erika Saunders, who is the chair of our religious school, and joining her in making the report is Jason Graff, who is the new after 1 year director of our religious school. So Erika, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Rob, and appreciate everyone joining us tonight. I just have a brief report about the religious school activities for this year. First, I want to introduce Jason Graff, who is our religious school director. Jason is fairly new, and interviewed during the pandemic time, but has been absolutely fantastic this past year. And as you hear me describe very briefly some of the activities, I think you'll begin to appreciate what really the amazing work that he's done. I also want to thank Jill Family, who is the other member of our religious school committee, who has contributed a lot of great ideas and been an integral member as we've gone forward. I saw Lillian Rappaport on the call, and I want to thank Lillian for her willingness and eagerness to help Jason with the transition and really with a smooth entry into our religious school leadership. And I certainly want to thank all of our teachers. The teachers that we have in the religious school are amazing, and wow, have they really done a fantastic job this past year. So as you know, with COVID, we went to a virtual religious school experience in the past year. We worked closely with the board, with Rob, with the Rabbi, regarding the COVID precautions and the necessary changes that needed to be made. Jason did a fabulous job of making that transition to virtual and making it as good a religious school experience as it could be. Just a couple of highlights before I turn it over to Jason. We did an in-person drive-through opening to the year so that students could meet the teachers and teachers could meet students in a safe way, and they could get supplies. Jason arranged for a special group called the Bible Players to give the kids a kind of mid-year pickup, which was a really fun experience. And they also provided some professional development to our teachers. And lastly, the board supported a grant program for our teachers to develop innovative ideas to improve religious school. We had to, so we issued a grant to Deb David-Heiser, who will be purchasing some equipment to use in the classroom for next year. So I want to thank you, Jason, for all of the amazing work that you've done. Really, you've been a fantastic partner. And on behalf of the Religious School Committee and the board, much thanks.
Thank you so much, Erika. Thank you for that very warm introduction. It's wonderful to see all of you guys tonight. For those of who I've met, it's great to see you guys again on Zoom. And for those of you who I have not met yet, I'm very much looking forward to that return to normalcy and us being able to meet in person and getting a chance to really meet the whole Ohev Shalom family. So just want to speak a little bit about how the year went. As Erika and Rabbi Kessler and Rob already mentioned, in the summer, we made a very difficult but necessary decision to move the religious school experience to being virtual for both our Wednesday and Sunday classes. And while at first this seemed challenging, it really went off without a hitch. Thankfully, we got to have that in-person drive-through at the very beginning of the year. I think that was so important, so pivotal for the students and for the teachers to really get to meet those others who they're going to be working with, the teachers for the students and the students for the teachers. And it was a great opportunity for me to be able to meet all the students, as it was my first year as well. The classes continued per usual, as they would have if we would have been in the building. The kids really got to learn all about their Jewish heritage, about Jewish holidays, Bible stories, Israel, and my own personal favorite classes, which helped to cultivate their Jewish identity and kind of how they hope to practice Judaism in the future as they grow older. Even beyond the classes, we got to have some special programs this year, which was really great. We were able to do that virtually with Gesher and with PJ Library. So we had a few special programs centered around the themes of holidays. And as Erika mentioned, we also brought in the Bible Players, a Torah comedy group, and they did a whole skit around Purim, and the kids absolutely had a blast. And they also did a professional development for us, which was really a great way to kind of, as Erika mentioned, it was a great pick-me-up in the middle of the year and providing some new strategies for how to engage the students over Zoom, which you know, at times was challenging. Speaking of the teachers, none of this could have been possible this year without the effort and the passion that the teachers brought to every class. We have amazing teachers, and I was just so thankful for everything they brought to the table. I want to read a quote from an end of the year survey that we sent out to the parents. One of the parents wrote, "We appreciate all the time the teachers put into making our children's religious education so worthwhile and meaningful." And, you know, that parent couldn't have said it better than I could have, or I couldn't have said it better than that parent said, excuse me. Again, just a public thank you to those teachers for all that they did to make their classrooms work this year on Zoom. Finally, I'd like to conclude by just saying that having to switch to virtual learning was really not all bad, and we actually learned a lot, and we saw a lot of great things that happened in virtual learning. And over this summer, I'm going to be looking at some of those lessons and benefits that we learned from last year and thinking about how we can incorporate that into our program moving forward. So I hope this report paints a picture for you of what went on in the religious school this year. And I'm always available for questions at jason@ohevshalom.org, or I also get the emails to principal@ohevshalom.org. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Jason and Erika, for your leadership and for really exceeding everyone's expectations during, you know, a really tough year. And I want to echo what Erika said, that we were fortunate to have the foundation that we had from Lillian's work over, you know, her tenure as our leader of our religious school, and her eagerness, I think was the word Erika used, which was the right one, of just really going above and beyond in the transition to Jason and making that transition as smooth and easy as possible.
And so, I would just add there, Rob, if I may, I also want to make a public thank you to Lillian for all the help that she provided me, not only through the summer and the transition, but also through the year. She was somebody who I could go to for questions. So thank you, Lillian. We appreciate it.
Great. Great. All right, now we're going to move on to Aaron Kraus, who is the chair of our Facilities Committee, and he'll also give a brief report on those activities.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending the annual board meeting this year. Unusual circumstances, as we've all said, but it works. I will say that. One of the things about the House chair, and first and foremost, I need to thank my committee, Bruce Feldman, Andy Brown. Certainly I'm involved with this, and David Feldman for his longstanding knowledge of the building facilities. But I really would also like to thank John Snavely, our maintenance person. John is there when we ask him to be there. He's only supposed to be there once, maybe twice a week if needed. But John, over the last year and a half, has been very instrumental in making sure that the building and the electronics and everything stays in flux. And without the eyes and ears of him, certainly the rabbi who's over there often, and Michelle, we really don't know what goes wrong and when. Our building is quite old, as all of you know, and it needs work from time to time. And it almost seems like every year something needs to get done. So for the most part, we prioritize what we need to do. If things can wait a little bit, where the roof's not going to cave in or we're not going to get flooded, we'll let it go for a while. But certain things, I just want to advise you of certain things that we've done over this past year. We've repointed some of the stone of the building. We have kept up with the landscaping. John does that. So it keeps our building, at least when it's not being used by a lot of people, when people walk by, it's not a mess. And certainly we can always continue to do that kind of work to keep it where it needs to be. I'll also tell you just one of the, over at the Mount Moriah Chapel, the building itself, the roof is in need of replacement. So over these past couple of months, we have gotten together with some contractors and gotten some bids in, and we're going to be replacing the roof here over the summer, and the skylights and everything, so that our building out there will be able to go for another 25, 30 years, we hope. So those are that in itself is just one thing that we have to continue to pay attention to and maintain. Otherwise, if you let it go, it just gets more of an issue. We still have some water issues that on top of the sanctuary building from time to time. It seemed like over the last 10 years, we have done patchwork, plastering and things like that. But here again, folks, it's something that needs to be done and occasionally happens. So I think that was one of the conversations we had this year. So after we replaced the cemetery, the roof on the sanctuary coming up next year or the year after. Now, certainly the cost of that is not inexpensive, but it's something that definitely needs to be done. So I guess the point I want to make to you, there's always some sort of activity going on when it relates to the facilities, whether it's light bulbs going out, whether it's lighting on the Seneca side of the street, which we're going to be taking a look at to make sure that our building stays secure and there's good security there, to the upgrades of the security system, which we get funding through grants that we're getting through Pennsylvania. So we're trying to take advantage of everything we can to make sure that our building stays safe and secure for all of us in today's world. And I just want to thank my staff for doing. I say my staff, the committee members, for doing that, because we all don't get paid a lot of money to do this job. But certainly, I just wanted to make sure that everybody on this call knew that The building is as well taken care of as it can be right now, but there's always some work that needs to be done. So if anybody has any questions regarding the building or the facility, certainly I welcome those. Okay, thank you so much. And Rob, thank you for the time this evening, and thank you everybody for listening.
Well, thank you, Aaron, and your committee for all of your hours and hours of hard work to make sure that we've got a building that can serve us well now and for the future. There are a couple of other committee chairs on this call. I don't want to put anyone on the spot. If any of you wish to speak about your committees, please feel free. Now would be the time. Before we get to Reyna, I have you as Sisterhood President with your own agenda item. All right, I see Rachel. There we go. Rachel Pinsker, who is the chair of our Social Action Committee.
Hi, everyone. It's obviously been a crazy year. We had a incredibly successful drive. It was last August. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it was that long ago. Where we, the Christ Lutheran Church, which is located in Allison Hill, runs a fabulous health clinic to the community that's free to them. And they had a list of items that their clinic needed, you know, things like Band-Aids and wipes and, you know, paper towels and all the things that make it happen. And we had such a generous outpouring from our community in donations and financial donations. It took my husband and I, we had to stuff both of our cars full of all the goodies. And I took my two boys with us to take it all in. So that was really wonderful. And I think it felt good for a lot of us to be able to actually be able to do something that was giving back and being helpful, especially at that stage in COVID where everything was so topsy-turvy. Social Action, along with Sisterhood, Reyna, I'm sure you're going to talk about this. This Sunday is doing a drive-through food drive at OHEV to try to get kosher, non-perishable foods for the local food bank. So if you're out and about, running errands, going to Costco on Sunday, noon to 2, drive by in the synagogue parking lot, drop off your items, and we'll absolutely gladly get them where they need to be. Also, the Social Action Committee is assisting the JCC this summer with their kosher grab and go program. So last year, and I'm sure we all saw this when we watched the news with everything economically that was happening with COVID, there was and still continues to be a huge problem with people being food insecure. And there was a program that the JCC tapped into that provides kosher food to distribute to anyone with children. That's the only requirement, that you have children. And so the JCC has been running this program last summer and then during the school year. And they anticipate that now that school's out, and you know, school is where a lot of kids get a lot of meals, that there will be an uptick in the demand this summer. And so I'm volunteering a number of times this summer. It's on Sundays, don't quote me, around 10, I believe. The information was posted on Facebook and can be found on the synagogue's website. And certainly, again, it's a Sunday morning. If you want to come down and help out, you stand in front of the JCC and people have pre-registered that they're coming to get their food, and they stop their car. They don't get out of their car. You ask their name, cross them off the list, and you place their food box in their vehicle and then wave goodbye. And that's how the food gets picked up and distributed. So again, if you kind of want to contribute, absolutely consider that. And if you have any questions, you can certainly email me, and Rob knows how to get in touch with me. I think the question is in the chat, does the food have to be kosher? Reyna, we ran into this issue last time, right? Can you address that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I was told it has to be kosher. Gloria, what did you find out?
Yes, it has to be kosher.
There you go. So, yeah. So non-perishable kosher food.
And last year we had, there were a number of kosher donations, and I worked with the domestic violence program located in Lancaster County. And what I did is I took all of the non-kosher food and I donated it to our shelter. So whatever ended up being donated through the drive, whether it was kosher or not, was put to good use. So don't worry about that. The food was not wasted at all.
Great, thanks, Rachel. If there ever was a year that needed the Social Action Committee and Sisterhood and their related work, this was the year. So thank you very much. Any other committee chairs before we go to Reyna and the Sisterhood report? Going once, going twice.
I think there's another question in the chat. It says, are there any items in particular that are popular? I don't know, Reyna, do you?
Yeah, there's a list. Gloria, do you know? Go ahead.
I'll put it in the chat. I'll copy and paste
it's in
it.
Rabbi's weekly email, which Rob put out.
I'll copy and paste the details in the chat while Reyna gives her report.
Thanks, Rob.
Sure.
Thanks, Rob. Good evening, everyone. My name's Reyna Jose, and I'm honored to be the president of Temple Ohev Shalom Sisterhood. I come to you this evening to tell you a little bit about what Sisterhood accomplished this past year. Through the magic of Zoom, Sisterhood planned some amazing programs. Not only did speakers come to us from Pennsylvania, we were able to have people come to us from Arizona, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, and South Carolina. Our first program last June was planned in conjunction with Jewish Family Service of Greater Harrisburg and Jewish Federation of Greater Harrisburg. We Will Get Through This Together was a virtual conversation on coping with stress and anxiety in a challenging time. It was a wonderful collaboration of 3 agencies to bring an important program to the community. August brought our installation and a program by past OHEV and Sisterhood member Tamsin Wolf. Her program, Ritual Threads, explored how our high holiday Torah covers were designed. I know the next time that I see those Torah covers, I am sure I will have a better appreciation for them. Next up was Sisterhood's Simon's Rose book review. This past year's author, Talia Karner, wrote the book, The Third Daughter. Even though the event was on Zoom, we had close to 100 people join us. A special thank you goes to the Simon's Rose families for their generous donation to this annual event. Even though we were not able to plan and implement our annual Hanukkah dinner, Sisterhood planned latkes and lights. Sisterhood came together via Zoom and lit our Hanukkah candles together. Following the candle lighting, former OHEV members Jamie and Ken Smith, who came to us from South Carolina, led a how to make latke demonstration. Fun was had by all as we played bingo in January for our winter social. Gift cards were given as prizes. For our Sisterhood brunch, Sisterhood welcomed Mary Klaus. What an amazing woman. Mary is a journalist and nurse who has traveled around the world helping people. She spoke to our group about her numerous medical mission trips around the globe. Passover came upon us as we welcomed Martha Savage, who currently lives in New Haven, Connecticut, to lead a very fun create, collage, and experiment making Passover cards class. Then Sisterhood's donor campaign, led by our immediate past president, Denise Miskin, came in April, and through people's generosity, we made and even surpassed what we wanted to raise. A huge thank you to those of you who contributed to our donor campaign. In May, we reinstalled Jill Cusick as treasurer and Derek Kluger as financial secretary. Following the installation, we welcomed author Sydney Stern, author of the Brothers Mankiewicz, Hope, Heartbreak, and Hollywood Classics. Along with these very special program, Sisterhood gave out honey to our congregants in celebration of the high holidays. Sisterhood also helped by purchasing Hanukkah items for the Hanukkah gift bags that the temple gave out in December. We also sponsored 2 soup and studies, thank you to Rabbi Kessler, and we were able to participate in a service So as you can see, Sisterhood has been busy this past year. When I was installed as Sisterhood president, I said I wanted this year to be a coming together, to be more of a family. I knew we really wouldn't be able to come together in person due to the coronavirus, but we were able to come together virtually. We made the best of it. We came together to celebrate good times and sad times. We were there for each other, and I know for myself, I appreciate the friendships I have made and the support I have felt in our Sisterhood group this year. Thank you to the Sisterhood board for all your hard work and dedication as we went through this year. I could not have done this without you, and I'm excited to see what this upcoming year will bring. If you're interested in joining Sisterhood, please contact me. I would love to speak to you about our Sisterhood. If you would like to volunteer, I would really like to talk to you. The more people we have to help, the better. And that's the truth. As in years past, it has been a tradition for Sisterhood to give an annual contribution to our temple. This year will be no different. I'm happy to announce that Sisterhood will be contributing $5,500 to our temple for the upcoming year. Respectfully submitted, Reyna Jose, President. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Reyna,
Reyna.
on behalf of all of us, we really appreciate everything Sisterhood does. And thank you for that contribution. It's very generous and we really appreciate it. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Reyna. Before we move on to old business or new business, we've got 2 new officers, Audrey Miner as president-elect and Denise Miskin as our treasurer. If either of you wish to say anything, I'm certainly happy to give you that opportunity, as long as it's not to contest the vote. No? No? All right, then is there any old business? I see none. Is there any new business? Does anyone have any final questions before we wrap up? All right, then before we conclude, let me just again thank the board, both the outgoing board and members and the new coming board and members for all of their hard work over the last year and support. And not to single anyone out, but especially the members who are part of the COVID-19 response committee, who've been really critical in terms of helping guide us through and making the best decisions that we can make during these unprecedented times. With that, I will turn this back to the rabbi for his blessing and installation of the new board members.
Okay, I know this is hard to do on Zoom, but I'm going to do my best. First of all, I wanted to, again, before we close, thank everybody for all of your kindness to our congregation. I'd like to say a blessing not only to the remaining board members, the outgoing board members, as well as the new board members, and all of you who have taken the time to be part of this annual meeting. Let me ask God's blessings on you. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ye'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. May God always be kind and gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's goodness and worthiness continue to inspire all of you to do acts of goodness and works of peace. And we all say, Amen.
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 Thank you to our president, Rob Teplitz, for all that you've done. I don't know if anyone has publicly thanked you during this meeting, but I certainly want to thank you for everything you do for our congregation.
Well, thank you. I think the biggest thing I can do right now is accept a motion to adjourn and let everyone return to their evenings. So I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, Aaron, and all in favor?
Bye.
All right, thank you, everybody. Have a great night. See you
Stay
soon.
healthy, everybody.
Bye. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
See you later. Thanks, Rob.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Thank you.